Here's a demonstration that will really get your students thinking about what's going on. I've got two jugs here, the white one and the yellow one. This one is elevated, standing on a fairly sturdy box. I've got a funnel here, I've got a piece of tubing here, glass tubing in this case, a 2-hole stopper up on top here, and then connected with a second tube here and into a 2-hole stopper sitting on the white funnel. I'm going to pour some water into the funnel. There it comes. Notice that the water is flowing into the funnel through here. And it will just keep going for quite a while. And this is a great way, or great experiment again, for asking students to try to come up with an explanation for what's going on with this demonstration. You can see that the water continues to run. All I had to do was to initiate the flow by pouring some water into the funnel. And students can come up with all kinds of explanations. And it's a good idea to just write them on the blackboard, and then after you've got a number of them written down, then do an evaluation of the possible explanations for what's going on here. At this time, you don't know what's in the jugs, and that's why I'm using opaque jugs, so you can't see what's in the two jugs. All they can see is what shows here. Now, I'm going to try to explain this to you so that you can do this now with your students. Notice what happens if I take the water flow and I put that into a beaker instead. It keeps going. But it's going less and less. And eventually it will stop. If I put it back under the funnel again, I have to start the reaction, the flow, by pouring water back in. And here we go. And if you look really carefully, there is no water flowing through the second tube here. There's no water flowing through it. Students may not see that. Some observant students may notice that there's really nothing flowing through here. All I'm doing is pouring water into the white jug, and water seems to come out of the glass tube and drop into the funnel. So what do I have inside the two jugs? And as soon as I lift it up, the water stops flowing and the system no longer works. So what have I got at this end? So I've got a long tube that goes all the way down to the bottom of the white jug. And then there's a second piece of tubing that just goes through the stopper and doesn't go down to the bottom at all. It just sits in there part way. And then I've connected that to the plastic tubing, which then is connected to the upper one. So this sits in here. The reason it goes all the way down to the bottom is that because I've got a little bit of water in the bottom of this jug, and by having this tube go all the way down and having water on the bottom, air cannot go up this tube. And so the only thing that I can do is actually pour water down here, and air has nowhere to go except up through this tube. And so what do I have in the second tube, second container? Well, again, we have a two-hole stopper. The plastic tubing coming from the white jug simply goes through the stopper and ends there. The second one goes down to the bottom and is connected then to where the water comes out. How does the system now work? Well, I happen to fill this jug completely full of water. So this jug was full of water, therefore it has to stand on a fairly firm box, as we have here. When I pour water into the funnel, as I'm doing here, it creates a pressure inside this jug. That pressure goes up the tube and into the second jug. And that forces the water up the tube here and out here. And as long as there's water in the yellow jug and the white jug is not filled up yet, the water will continue to flow, and it gives the impression of perpetual motion. It's also a great demonstration for a parent day. You can really impress them with your knowledge of science. Here it goes. And most of your parents would have a hard time explaining how this works as well. So have fun with it. Well, how can you make this apparatus if you don't have glass tubing available? Well, you can take some tubing that is available in a party store. This is tubing that you can purchase for holding balloons. You can get a bundle of that, and it comes in different sizes and lengths. It's fairly inexpensive. So you can take a piece of tubing like this and shape it using an alcohol burner. So you can heat that over the burner, and notice that what I'm doing is twirling it back and forth to soften the plastic. And then you can bend it into a shape such as this, allow it to cool, and you've got one of the elbows. And then you can do the same with the other end. Warm it up. And it's not always easy to make a nice curve or bend in the tubing, but as long as it stays airtight, you're okay. And notice that this is now similar to the piece that we made for the yellow jug. And so you can put this in a stopper, or you can take the cap from the container, drill a hole through it, or put it use heat to put a hole through it, and then seal it off with a glue gun, for example, and so that way you can make a fairly rigid support. And you can do that for the other pieces as well. The advantage of this as well is that it's made from plastic, and so you don't have to worry about broken glass if a student happens to hit it accidentally.